Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Legion class video. Today, it's about time we looked at the Havoc Demon Hunter. Why? Because, well, the Demon Hunter is the new class in Legion, and really we are at that stage where the classes are a lot more solidified. The game, right now, they're tuning things, but most of the broad design decisions are there, and it's about time I give a full update for this spec. As many of you will remember, my initial thoughts were really pretty terrible. It has actually improved. That's the good news. There are still some issues. I think this is a spec that will be kind of like Marmite based on the way that it's designed for some people, but I guess it does bring up some interesting things nonetheless. Let's get right into the video though by talking about the core abilities. I'll go over this nice and quick because I know quite a few of you will already know about it. So your resource is Fury. You generate Fury from Demon's Bite. It generates between 20 and 30, and then you spend Fury on Chaos Strike, which does a good bit of damage. Crits will also refund 20 of the Fury that you spend in using it. You also have some other abilities. There's Blade Dance, which is a AoE. We've got Fury of the Illidari, which is that. Some glaives fly about the place. That's your artifact weapon ability. I-Beam, which you'll see in a little bit, and then Chaos Nova, which does a little bit of damage and a stun. Our movement stuff is pretty simple. Vengeful Retreat, you fly back like that. Then we've got Fell Rush, you go forward like that, nice and simple. We've got Nemesis, which is a talent, Fell Barrage, which is a talent. I'll talk about both of those in a bit. Metamorphosis, you've seen that from the promo material, and it's a big cooldown, so I don't want to use it quite yet. Consume Magic. There you go, that's an interrupt which will give you some resource if you successfully interrupt. Can't wait for all the people messing up their interrupt rotation because they want more resources. But anyway, that's really the main bread and butter to get you started with how this plays. I'll go very quickly through the basic rotation, and then I want to get right into the talents and show you some of the gameplay that we're going to be getting. Also, I didn't cover Fellblade because it's a talent, but basically it does 90,000 damage, fire damage, and it rushes you to the target on a 15-yard range. And Demon's Bite, which is your main generator of Fury, has a chance to reset its cooldown. So if I hit 2, you can see I rush in, and now I'm spamming this. I've already generated a free one. I've got quite a lot of Fury here, so I'm just going to spend on my Chaos Strikes to get rid of that resource. And that really is the bread and butter of your gameplay. One of your big cooldowns, as an example, I-Beam. That'll do a lot of damage. If you're in an AoE situation, you can do Blade Dance, which will do some AoE. We also have Throw Glaives, so for an example, let's just say I Vengeful Retreat out for some reason or another, and I'm closing, and if my Fellblade wasn't on cooldown, if I didn't talent into it, while I'm running, I throw my Glaive. However, what I could do, because I've got Fellblade talent, is I could rush out and then run back in whenever it suits me. That is your core gameplay. You are generating Fury, you are spending Fury. It really is quite simple. And then you've got your Metamorphosis, which is a very big cooldown, and I may as well use it now. Basically what it does, I'll just read the text out for you. So you leap to a location, you do a bunch of damage when you land, you stun enemies for 3 seconds, but what's important is that you're a demon for 30 seconds, and it empowers your Chaos Strike, which is your 3, that is your main single target spender, and then your Blade Dance. So it makes them both better. Let's go in and do that. So boom, I fly out, and yeah, I'm doing a lot of damage. These abilities, as you can see, are doing significantly more damage as well. And yeah, you just have a faster, sort of more intense pace through the spec, does a bit more damage, and that is pretty much it for Metamorphosis. Now, what I really want to talk about, though, is the talents, because that's the stuff that's been changing the most throughout the Legion process. Now, I do want to mention that Fellblade is not a new addition. It has been in a lot of previous builds. I've talked about it before, but Fellblade is great because it used to just be that you were hitting 1 to generate, and then for me 3, which is my Chaos Strike, to spend, and that was it. Your bread and butter was just 2 buttons. It was very dull. Well, now we have Fellblade, which will give you Fury, and it also has that interaction with Demon's Bite, so it makes the gameplay a little bit more reactionary and involved there, which I do think is, for the most part, a good thing. However, let's talk about the talents here, and the first set of talents that I want to walk you through is the movement-intensive set of talents. Now, this is one, like, if you're used to just playing a really, a standstill glass cannon caster class, this will be very bizarre to you, and it's all around momentum. This is a passive talent. Fell Rush and Vengeful Retreat increase your damage done by 20% for 4 seconds. You will have noticed if I do Vengeful Retreat here, There you go, I've got momentum there, damage done increased by 20%. So, I've got Vengeful Retreat and then 2 charges of Fel Rush. As you can see, that's a lot of access to a 20% buff, though it is only for 4 seconds. Now, there are a few things that we actually combine this with. So, Prepared reduces the cooldown of Vengeful Retreat, i.e. giving you more usage of the buff from momentum, and it causes it to generate 40 Fury over 5 seconds if you damage at least one enemy with Vengeful Retreat. And then we have Fel Mastery. Increases the damage of Fel Rush by 50% and grants 25 Fury when Fel Rush damages at least one target. So with this, I can do a Vengeful Retreat, which will give me the momentum buff, which will give me 20% more damage, and then I rush in using Fel Rush. It's already doing 50% more damage because of this talent. It's giving me some Fury, and it will give me, it'll refresh my charge of momentum, so I'll be able to do about 2 GCDs worth of attacks with that extra 20% damage. And the other thing which really sort of ties into this is Fellblade. We covered earlier that it rushed you, or it charged you in, so let's just say if I'm in a fight here, what I could actually, my muscle memory just used Fellblade. Let's just wait 5 seconds. Okay, then, silliness aside, so I can just Fel Rush out and then blade my way in. Now, that was very quick. It gave me a damage boost that, I got increased damage on the Fel Blade, which took me back into combat, and then on the 2 preceding Chaos Strikes. So that's 20% more damage on 3 abilities, all of which do a decent chunk of damage. What this overall mixture of talents does is it gives you gameplay that's very, I don't really know what the word is, I guess mobile, a bit dynamic. You end up treating these movement things basically as DPS cooldowns, which is really odd because it's not like if you're a hunter and you use Dire Beast, I don't know, it turns you 180 degrees or, or something weird like that. That's kind of what's going on here. They're kind of rolled together. Now, I can see some people really kind of liking this. It feels actiony, right? But I can see other people really not liking it at all. So let's just go in and get into some combat. I run in here, let's just build up some resources. Already I got a proc there of Fellblade. I've got all my Fury, that's fine, but what I'm actually going to do is Vengeful Retreat out, Fel Rush in. I've got my buff, so I can use that to burn off my resources. As another example, very big ability in my rotation is I-Beam, so what I could do, and obviously I wouldn't delay my I-Beam or anything like that too much for this, so you would be pre-planning it, but you could Fel Rush out, instantly hop back in. I really messed up my timing there. That was silly. That's just Vengeful Retreat, Fel Rush, I-Beam, and that I-Beam is a big damaging ability that's then benefiting from an extra 20% damage, which I think, it's pretty clear that that is a very beneficial thing. And do bear in mind as well, like, Chaos Strike, right? It's doing 128,000 Chaos damage. Fel Rush is doing about 100,000. So Fel Rush really is doing a lot of damage. So if I do Momentum here, that's 117,000 damage. Because of that 20% damage buff, which, I think it's an interesting form of gameplay that is definitely different from the other stuff that's floating around in World of Warcraft. And that's certainly something. Sometimes it's a bit awkward, like, do you really want to be doing, like, what I just did there, a double Fel Rush? It's, it's a little bit strange. Now, I'm aware that a lot of my usage here has been generating a 4-second buff and then instantly generating another one on top of it. Obviously, they don't stack additively. The second one just replaces the first one. But at the end of the day, you need to close into range if you're going to be able to attack a target, right? So I'd say there's probably going to be, some more advanced usage of all of this stuff that people work out over time. It's an interesting form of gameplay, and it's definitely unique, and it is nice that they're getting something unique into a new class in the game. But that said, is it something that people are going to like? Very hard to know. I've seen a lot of mixed opinions. One criticism that I did have with this spec is there wasn't a lot of synergy between some of its abilities, like Blade Dance, right? I just use that, but it doesn't really tie into anything else. Same goes to I-Beam and a few other abilities. At least with Demon's Bite and Fellblade working together, you've got some synergy. At least with all of your movement abilities and these talents working together, there's some synergy between your toolkit there. It's just a bizarre toolkit because of the real emphasis that they're putting on mobility with this spec that is quite unlike most of the other specs in the game. Now let's talk about Fel Barrage. So this is one of your level 100 talents. Channeled, 30-second recharge for each charge. Whenever you click on it, you unleash all the fel that you've charged up. Each one does 80,000 to your target and nearby enemies, and you have a maximum of 5 charges. Now, you do get one every 30 seconds, meaning you completely fill this within, 2.5 minutes, but your damaging attacks have a chance to generate a charge, so pretty much you never want this to be sitting on 5 charges, because it's a maximum of 5 charges, so if you're at 5 charges and you proc another charge, well, tough shit, that charge is going to be going to waste. Now, as is the theme of a lot of this video, if I'm going to be using my Fel Barrage, actually what I want to do first is Vengeful Retreat out, Fel Rush in, or something like that, so that's benefiting from the extra damage, because by the time that's charged up to 5 charges, as you saw there, it really is doing a lot of damage, so if you can increase that by 20%, well, that's certainly a good thing. And a tiny bit of this, and trust me, only a tiny bit, is reminding me of way back in Mists of Pandaria, where there was stuff with the Brewmaster Monk, where sort of at a low skill level, it was a very spammy spec that was, maybe not easy is not the word, but it was very fast and spammy. But it had an extreme potential as far as the amount of damage that it did because of some of the mechanics that were working out there. Now, this isn't really as extreme, but I can see this, mobility talent stuff with the momentum damage increase. I can actually see that being something that could differentiate players of different skill levels. Let's talk about some of the other alternatives, though, because this is the really movement-intensive one. So, that momentum thing that I've been talking about, well, you could swap that out for Fel Eruption. Actually, I can't because of their new talent changes. I need to walk over here to a rested area to do so. That's just so convenient. Anyway, so this will impale your target, does 220,000 chaos damage. That's a lot of damage, and it stuns them for 2 seconds, and it then inflicts, it does 100% additional damage against targets who are permanently immune to stuns. So, this is something that will be playing a part of your toolkit. I'll just go in, we'll generate some lovely resources, and we'll do Fel Eruption. Boom. Actually, that did 500,000 damage. And this is against a Raider's training dummy as well. So, yeah, that's nothing to shake a stick at, and that is on a 35-second cooldown. And then we have Nemesis. 2-minute cooldown increases the damage you inflict against the target by 15% for 1 minute. As an example, I'm pretty sure that you could get it so that your Nemesis and your Fel Barrage would always be lining up, so that your Fel Barrage would always be benefiting from the extra damage that you get from your Nemesis. Now, if you look at Nemesis here, every 1 minute out of 1 minute out of every 2 minutes, you're doing 15% more damage on your target. With Momentum, you every 4 seconds are for 4 seconds, you're doing 20% more damage. The balance between Momentum and Nemesis will be interesting, especially because if you take Momentum, well, you're probably going to be taking Fel Blade, you're probably going to be taking, and perhaps Prepared, perhaps Fel Mastery, so there are some interesting sort of number-crunching things that will have to be done there. So, yeah, there's that. Now, with Nemesis, when the target is slain, you will... with Nemesis, when the target is killed, you will inflict 15% additional damage against all creature types, matching the original target for the remaining duration. What would really interest me there is if you're in a boss fight and you're fighting demons, well, if you were to apply Nemesis to a bit of demonic trash, and the boss was a demon, well, boom, that's going to give you a full 2 minutes of 15% more damage? Perhaps that's how I'm reading it, but yeah, so there's that talent row. Fel Blade, pretty awesome, talked about it a few times. It does this. There we go, kinda nice. Now, what else could we have? Well, we could have First Blood. Reduce the Fury cost of Blade Dance by 20, so that puts it down to a mere 15, and it also causes it to do 175,000 damage against its first target, meaning that it is something that you would have as a main part of your single target rotation. However, I think it makes for a less interesting single target rotation, because with Fel Blade, you've got the interaction going on there with Demon's Bite. However, if you're in a fight where there's going to be a lot of just sort of cleave damage done, along with your single target, maybe First Blood's going to be a really good, talent for you. Then there's Bloodlet. Throw Glaive causes targets to bleed for 190% of damage inflicted over 10 seconds. If the effect is reapplied, the remaining damage will be added to the new Bloodlet. It's a bit boring, but hey, I guess you gotta put something in the slot, right? Now we also have Prepared. That's the thing that reduces my cooldown of Vengeful Retreat by 10 seconds, gives me some fury. You could replace it with Demon Blades. Your auto attacks have a 75% chance to deal additional shadow damage and generate fury, but it replaces Demon's Bite. Yep, with Demon Blades, you quite literally do not have a generator past maybe something like Fell Mastery, which is a little bit bizarre. I've tried playing with this. It is really not fun at all. And then we have Demonic Appetite. Chaos Strike has a chance to spawn a Lesser Soul Fragment, and consuming the Soul Fragment gives you 30 Fury. Now, if you're willing to give up Prepared, this also can sort of work with your little movement toolkit, so I could go on to Demonic Appetite. Now, this is a little bit kind of like a Chi Orb, you know, that you'd be generating if you are a monk, so I'll go into combat here, and hopefully soon enough we will have one of these spawn for us. There we go, one is just behind the boss, behind the training dummy. If I walk into it, boom, look at that, I got some Fury, how exciting. So that's Demonic Appetite. Now we also have some things like Blind Fury, increases duration of I-Beam by 50%. Chaos Cleave, your Chaos Strike hits an additional target. Then Fell Mastery, which I have actually went with for most of this video. What you will notice here is, like, there's so many passives. And really, it seems like what they've decided to do is go with a core set of abilities and then just have different modifiers on it, which, I mean, it's their game, do what you want, right? But maybe a few more actives that had some synergy would have been nice. I've really appreciated the addition of things like Fell Barrage and Fell Blade, and I think they really do improve the gameplay of the spec. I'd be happy enough with maybe one more of those, but hey, that's the way they've decided to take it. On to other things. Master of the Glaive. Throw Glaive has 2 charges. Snares enemies, hit by 50% for 6 seconds. Fair enough. Unleashed Power removes the Fury cost of Chaos Nova, which is your AoE stun, a bit like the Warlock one, but just emerges from your character, and it reduces its cooldown by 33%. And then Demon Reborn. All your cooldowns are reset when you invoke meta, so you can kind of go a little bit apeshit and crazy. Now then, we've got Chaos Blades. This is really boring. Increases all damage done by 10%, based on Mastery for 12 seconds. And when it's active, your auto attacks deal 200% increased damage, and they do chaos damage. So, like, don't get me wrong, that's a lot of damage, but it's just kind of a flat increase, so it's a little bit boring. I guess momentum's technically, by that metric, is pretty boring as well, but I suppose if you are doing a Chaos Blades into your Metamorphosis, then you've got your Metamorphosis, like the first half of it benefits from your first usage of Chaos Blades because you went with Demon Reborn. Then you're getting even more Chaos Blades. You know what, let's just use Chaos Blades. So we'll see. There you go, done Chaos Blades. How exciting. There you go, doing some damage. Isn't that lovely? How about we do a meta? Oh look, more Chaos Blades. How exciting. 1 second. There we go, the original one's gone, so now we can do the new Chaos Blades. Oh wow, look at that, so much chaos. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be particularly... I don't know, I see why it's there, you know, I can see the bit of the toolkit that it slots into. I just do not think that it's a particularly enjoyable ability in comparison to some others, but hey, whatever, it earns its place. So we have Fell Barrage, which I've already covered, and then Demonic I-Beam causes you to enter demon form for 5 seconds after it finishes dealing damage. So that means that all those fancy, or the fancy version of Chaos Strike and Blade Dance that I got to use when I was a demon there like 15 seconds ago, you get to do that a bit more often. Hurrah! And that's pretty much your Demon Hunter in a nutshell. So what do I think of them? Well, they're in a way better state than they used to be. If you like all this movement guff, then I suppose it'll be quite nice for you. I'm really torn on it, to be honest with you. Now, I do, of course, come from playing a hunter, and one of the things that I have liked about being a hunter is I've got access to likes of Disengage, so if I'm in a raid, I get to be the person who busybodies around the place and, you know, does all the things. I still think that maybe the hunters will be doing that, the rogues will be doing that because of Sprint and Cloak of Shadows, etc. As for these guys, though, like, you still are losing uptime if you're fell rushing away to do something in a raid, right? But if you're a hunter, well, that's fine. I'm walking this way while I'm still shooting, so as much as all this mobility is nice, like, it'll be really handy for getting out of the fire or reacting to things super quickly, but, I don't know, like, I still feel like if you need someone to do busybody work in a raid, maybe a hunter or a rogue is going to do something a little bit better. I guess you could pop Darkness, which causes you and friendly targets. It gives you basically a 15% chance to avoid all damage from an attack for 8 seconds. That's what it looks like, by the way. So you could use something like that. But, yeah, that's essentially what's going on here with the Demon Hunters. I know this video has definitely rolled on for a little bit, but I feel like that's most of it given a pretty good shot. I wanted to just show you what this sort of movement-based gameplay is like. And, yeah, what is my opinion of it overall? I should probably just, you know, get it out there. I think it is neat. That's what I'd say. It's a cool gimmick right now. Would it be something that I will want to play for a long time? I'm not particularly sure. I don't have a lot of raid experience with Legion itself. I haven't been into the raid test stuff, so I can't really say whether it interacts very well with the Legion bosses. But right now, it's a fun little gimmick that I guess could go somewhere. But at the end of the day, it's not much of a sunk cost to try it out yourself when the expansion comes out, because these guys start level 98. By the time their starting experience is done, you're level 100. So you'll be able to find out for yourself. But I hope this video has given you pretty much what you need to know to make some sort of decision for yourself. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.